Hi everybody, just want to get my thoughts and reaction out there for the Green Bay Packers' dominant victory over the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. The Green Bay Packers defeating the Saints 34-0. It is the first shutout of the NFL season, which is hard to believe since today, on Christmas, we are entering week 17. So it's crazy to believe that there have been no shutouts at all this year. The Green Bay Packers, with this win, clinch playoff berth. And it is now the 37th time that the Green Bay Packers have clinched playoff berth and enter the playoffs, which this 37 now surpasses the Dallas Cowboys. Also, during halftime at the Packer game, the Green Bay Packers honored Mark Murphy. The Packers are now entering the playoffs for the 13th time under Mark Murphy's 17-year tenure. Mark Murphy ages out this year, so it's awesome to have the Packers be able to go and fight for another Super Bowl in his final year as president of the Green Bay Packers. As always, we will begin with the offense, and we'll start with Mr. Jordan Love. Mr. Jordan Love was 16 of 28, 182 yards, and a touchdown pass. He entered another game without an interception. I believe it's fifth straight game without an interception. Also, another passing stat, Malik Willis ended up coming into this game because the Packers were absolutely dominating the Saints. So Malik Willis came in late fourth quarter, and he was 1 for 2 for 34 yards. At 34 yards, went to Mr. Jaden Reed on I believe it was a fourth down play late in the game. Leading rusher, of course, was Josh Jacobs. He had 13 attempts for 69 yards and a touchdown. He left the game, I believe it was late second, early third quarter, and did not return. I think he just had a stinger, was getting a little banged up, and since the Packers were completely dominating, I think the Packers just decided not to have him go out there and risk any sort of injury, which led to a lot more people getting the ball. The Packers ended up having 9 ball carriers in this game, which is the most since October 18th, 1953 against Baltimore. So that's interesting. Other rushers for Monday night was Emmanuel Wilson. He had 11 attempts for 52 yards and a touchdown. And Chris Brooks, 6 attempts for 23 yards and a touchdown, which was his first career touchdown, so that was awesome to see. Christian Watson, Bo Melton, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, Jordan Love, and Malik Willis also ran the ball. Those were the other ball carriers. So Packers getting it done on all phases, passing and running. Heading to passing, Jaden Reed was the leading receiver for the Packers. He had 3 receptions for 76 yards. Tucker Kraft had 3 receptions for 63 yards. And Dontavian Wicks had 3 receptions, 13 yards, and the lone passing touchdown for the Packers. The offense was spectacular, obviously putting up another 30-plus straight game, which I think is 5 straight for the Packers now, with 30-plus points scored. But the defense, of course, shined as well, holding a professional football team. The Saints, yes, they're beat up. Yes, they're not that good this year, but they still are a professional football team, and holding them to absolutely 0. No points, nothing. The defense had 3 sacks on the day. Devontae Wyatt had a sack. Brennan Cox Jr. had a sack. Keyshawn Nixon had a sack, which resulted in a forced fumble, which was recovered by Rashawn Gary. The Packers had a total of 30 pressures today on Monday night against Spencer Rattler. Leading the team with that was Rashawn Gary with 6 pressures. Zane Anderson getting his first career interception. That was cool to see. The Packers overall really just battered the Saints on all phases of the ball. All phases. Special teams, offense, defense. The Saints came into this game with absolutely no shot. The New Orleans Saints only had 2 plays in the red zone, and both of those plays resulted in turnovers. So that tells you kind of just how well the Packers were playing on Monday night. We'll quickly go over some stats for the Saints. There's not much. Spencer Rattler, I believe, made his 4th start this season and is still winless. He was 15 of 30 for 163 yards, 1 interception, and 1 fumble. Spencer Rattler was also the team's leading rusher with 5 attempts for 28 yards. Obviously, Alvin Kamara not playing in this game. And then Foster Moreau, I believe that's how you pronounce it. He had 2 receptions for 33 yards. He led the team in receptions. No points, no field goal attempts, no touchdowns, no nothing. That's pretty much it for the stats for the Saints. Absolute complete dominance by the Green Bay Packers. Look over some box score stuff. Time of possession, the Green Bay Packers won the time of possession 37 minutes and 13 seconds to New Orleans 22 minutes 47 seconds. First downs, New Orleans only had 14, the Packers had 24. Third down, the Saints were 4 of 11 and the Packers were 6 of 13. On fourth down, the Saints went 0 for 2 and the Packers were 3 for 3. The total yards, this kind of tells the whole story there. The New Orleans Saints only had 196 yards compared to the Green Bay Packers, 404. Sacked, of course, Spencer Rattler was sacked 3 times. Jordan Love was not sacked at all. So the offensive line doing a fantastic job against Cam Jordan, Chase Young. This O-line for the Packers are doing a great job this season protecting Jordan Love. Red zone efficiency, the Saints were 0 for 0, and the Green Bay Packers were 4 for 4. Penalties, the Saints had 7 penalties for 40 yards, and the Green Bay Packers had 6 for 60, and then no turnovers for the Packers and 2 turnovers for the Saints. Looking ahead, the Saints obviously, I believe a couple weeks ago, were already eliminated from playoff contention, so this game really didn't mean anything to them. Kind of just trying to develop Spencer Rattler to kind of see if he's going to be the future in New Orleans. Obviously, Derek Carr is injured. He's not playing. So, a rough game for him. Like I said, I think he's 0-4 in his starts now as a professional. Not great. The Green Bay Packers now sit at 11-4, still third place in the North, but they did clinch a playoff berth, like I said, and they currently hold the 6th seed. Next week, they will go to Minnesota to play the purple incarnation of Satan, the evil in purple. The Vikings still trying to, and still having an opportunity to win the North and possibly the number 1 seed with the Eagles losing last week. If all the Lions have to do is the Lions got to win, and if the Packers beat the Vikings, well, then the Lions will win the division and probably hold on to that number 1 seed. Not too big of a deal for the Packers to lose. I think the Packers, in my opinion, are kind of locked into that 6th seed at this point. Obviously, you'd love to beat the Vikings because Packers technically still could get up to that 5th seed, and that could mean something if they could maybe have a playoff game at home. That would be nice, but overall, I feel a little bit more comfortable going into the next 2 weeks. The Packers will obviously play the Vikings and then finish their season at home against the Bears. The Bears, obviously, long eliminated from the playoffs. They're irrelevant at this point. But as of the Saints, their season's over already. So kind of just try to develop and see what you got for the rest of the season, I guess. But other than that, that's it for the game. It was a fun watch as a Packer fan, probably not so much as a Saints fan. I want to finish this by saying Merry Christmas to all of you. I hope you are spending the holiday with your friends and family. Like I said, I'm here in Arizona visiting my mother. So I'll be back in the Packer room next weekend for the reaction of the Packers-Vikings game. But until then, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, have a safe holiday, everybody.